Work. Veteran American keeper Brianna Scurry goes from bench warmer to semifinal starter today as the states prepare for a Final Four showdown with Brazil. Good morning, I'm Rob Stone, and U.S. head coach Greg Ryan shocked the American soccer community yesterday by naming Scurry the starter. Hope Solo had played every minute of this tournament, including pitching back-to-back shutouts. But it's Scurry who gets the start. Moments ago, Jaime Mota caught up with head coach Greg Ryan.
Coach, Brianna Scurry gets her first start in this World Cup tonight. You said yesterday that you've been thinking about it for a while. When did you realize it was the right decision?
Well, you know, I've been thinking about it since June when Bri played against Brazil, and she did so well. But always just knowing the matchups, how quick they were, it's always been in my mind. And, you know, and knowing that Hope's playing great, too. And so I think the matchup's right for Bri tonight. I think she'll have a great game, and I think she'll play in a way that'll give us a chance to win.
Marta always gets the attention when someone talks about Brazil. Who else do you think deserves special attention on the Brazilian side?
Well, I think they've got a great 11 players in that team, but alongside of her, Cristiana is a fantastic striker, very fast, goes to her left, has a great shot. Daniela is the playmaker underneath, number 7. And then the player that I've always loved the most is Formiga, number 8 in the midfield. Just a great player, very calm, controls the rhythm of the game. So we're going to do some things to try and disrupt those 4.
Leslie Osborne's back in the lineup again tonight. What is her role, considering that she was called upon to mark different players in the previous 2 games she started?
Right. Well, Leslie will do the same thing for us again tonight. You know, when we have the ball, we want her playing, helping us keep possession, moving up the park. When they have the ball, her role will be keeping Daniela quiet, and I think she's ready for that. You know, I think Svensson's a great player. She kept her quiet. Kelly Smith, I think she'll do very well against Daniela.
Finally, it's very hot and humid here tonight. How will that affect play?
We're going to wait and see. We're going to have to drink a lot of water during the game, and you know, I think our players are very, very fit. I think we're fitter than Brazil. I think if we do well, you know, in the beginning, because Brazil's going to come out strong, very emotional about this game, we can hold on, do well in the beginning, put them under pressure. I think over 90 minutes we have a very good shot.
Thank you so much. Back to you.
Scurry's last start, ironically enough, came against Brazil June 23rd, a 2-0 victory. A start she made only because Hope Solo was away from the team with her family due to the passing of her father. For more on the developing situation and the upcoming semifinal tilt between the U.S. and Brazil, we bring in live from China the two who'll be calling the game for you, JP Dellacamera and Julie Foudy. Hi, guys.
Hey guys, well, the big story yesterday was goalkeeping. It's still the big story today. Julie, you've had a chance to sleep on it. Any further thoughts?
I've slept on it and I still don't agree with it. However, having said that, you put an incredible keeper, and I said it yesterday, I respect Brianna Scurry more than any other keeper in the world. So to have that as your backup option is tremendous, but I feel it's a disruption that could have been avoided.
We'll keep our eyes on the goalkeepers. We'll also keep our eyes on 2 great stars having outstanding tournaments, Abby Wambach for the United States and Marta for Brazil.
Marta for Brazil. What a player. I mean, she's just so special on the ball, and she's not just a tremendous goal scorer, excellent playmaker. She gets players in. She's already got 5 goals in this World Cup. Next to her, Cristiane with 4 goals. So that will be difficult for the United States to stop that 1-2 punch. Abby Wambach, on the other hand, for the United States, they need to play for set pieces because she cannot be stopped in the air. You saw it against England. She gave them the spark and the lift, and so they'll be looking for her to win those aerial duels tonight.
Guys, this should be a great game tonight. What does the winner get? Well, they get a date with Germany on Sunday, and Germany hasn't given up a goal yet in this tournament.
JP, Julie, thank you. Look forward to your call at the top of the hour. Welcome inside the Women's World Cup live studios. Heather Mitz, Tony DeChico, Rob Stone with you till the top of the hour and kickoff between U.S. Brazil. Okay, we've had about 24 hours to kind of digest this news, and there's still some grumbling in the stomachs, I think, with a lot of people. How does this affect the team on the field, Tony?
Well, I agree with Julie. It's not the right move. But Brianna Scurry's a great goalkeeper, and her teammates know that. She's capable of winning any game. She's very experienced. She's one of the best. But Greg Ryan puts himself in a situation where if they don't win, credibility to his players as a head coach suffers.
And I think that I talked to Hope. She sent me an email, and obviously this tournament for her was is an emotional struggle for her not to play today, just because she was dedicating this tournament to her dad and his passing in June. And so she wanted to play every single game, but at the same time, Greg Ryan has made his decision. She understands that Brianna Scurry needs to go out there, be on the top of her game. So her role today changes. She's going to support Brianna Scurry, and she said she has the confidence going into the finals So hopefully they win today. She gets an opportunity to play next game. We'll see what happens.
This will be just the 5th game of the calendar year for Scurry, and it's kind of being overlooked. I feel that it's so difficult to come off the bench cold when you've been sitting essentially since June, but at least through this entire tournament watching, just warming up, going through practices, and now all of this pressure has been put on Scurry, and certainly she's a veteran. She has a ton of leadership. She's been in big-time situations before. She can handle it, but not an easy situation to put your keeper in.
Well, I spoke with Tom Stone, her coach, with the Atlanta beat of the WUSA, and he said Bri was the best, but for her to get in the zone, she needed games. And she hasn't had a full game since June 23rd when they played Brazil. So that's got to be a little bit of a concern. All
right, we take a look at the updated brackets. Brazil and the United States battling to take on Germany in Sunday's Women's World Cup final game. You can see live on ESPN2. Our coverage begins at 7 a.m. Eastern. The States, for the 5th time in 5 Women's World Cups, have advanced to the semifinals. Brianna has handled pressure before. Is she up to it again? Plenty more on the U.S. goalkeeping controversy still ahead. And does it really matter if it's Scurry or Schumacher? Can anybody deny Brazil 13 goals in 4 games? More on their leader, Marta, when we return.
To be honest, when I got the tap on the shoulder at dinner time saying come up to his room, I had a pit in my stomach, and I knew what the deal was. He didn't have to say much. Again, not happy with it, but it's just something you go on with, and it happens in sports all the time, and you're not always going to agree with the coach.
That was Hope Solo's reaction yesterday, and Heather, it's more than just a different face in the cage for the U.S. There's some subtle but somewhat major tactical differences now with Scurry playing.
Right, with having played with both of these players, they bring very different things to the game. For Hope Solo, she's very comfortable with the ball at her feet. She likes to possess. For the defenders, you can play the ball back. She'll keep it. And the kicking game is what's most important for Hope Solo. Here you can see she has such a long kick. Look at how far this ball goes. Hitting it to the head of Abby Wambach, who likes to flick on. That's something the U.S. loves to do to start their attack. Remember, the ball's in the other half the minute that Hope Solo kicks this ball. Here's a goal kick. Look how far this ball goes as well. They're winning it in the midfield. There's a defender back there. So once again, you're starting the attack out of the back. It's great for your field positioning when you can get the ball from your goalkeeper that far up the field. The entire team can press up. And Hope Solo, this is what she's so great at. Brianna Scurry, on the other hand, she's athletic. She can make great saves. That's what they need against the Brazil team, and that's why Greg Bryan has made his decision today.
Scurry will now become the 3rd oldest goalkeeper to ever play in a Women's World Cup competition, having just turned 36 this month. Not ancient by any means, people out there. Please, let's calm down here, and particularly at the goalkeeper position. Right. But now keep this though in mind though. But playing against the creative chaos of 21-year-old Marta will have anybody, keeper or player, reaching for the Geritol. I don't care how old they are.
Well, Marta loves to express herself on the soccer field. She's athletic. She's a brilliant genius with the soccer ball. She can take on, she can escape pressure. She knows how to finish. She knows how to find players. She's just exciting to watch. I remember the expression that when Mia Hamm gets the ball, everybody holds their breath. Well, guess what? When Marta gets the ball, we all hold our collective breath. That's how good she is, and the U.S. has to deal with her.
Marta, 5 goals and 2 assists so far this tournament, but she has never beaten Brianna Scurry. Brazil has never beaten Brianna Scurry. Scurry has had some rather large games representing the red, white, and blue versus Brazil. We go back to the 1999 Women's World Cup semifinal game out at Stanford, a game, Tony, you remember well. Some huge second-half saves for Scurry en route to the 2-0 win. And then in 2004, gold medal Olympic game, Scurry 8 saves as the U.S. won the gold 2-1. There's Heather Mitz there on the left. Look good in gold, Heather. Have you cut your hair, by the way? Has anybody noticed?
I think someone noticed.
Everybody noticed.
We all noticed. You were the last one.
My mom even noticed before you got your hair cut. More on that later. Here's Scurry's stats versus Brazil through her career. 12-0-0, 8 shutouts, .41 goals against average. Those are some very impressive numbers, and those are the numbers that you really start to think led Greg Bryan to make this change. When we return, a conversation with the 1-2 American offensive punch of Christine Lilly and Abby Wambach. And there's Abby, and you just saw Lily take a duck down there, live shot. We are just under 18 minutes away from kickoff.
Going to Shanghai.
There's Wambach. She's a great player, and she nails it. 2-0 U.S.
Christine Lilly ready to strike. Floats one up there. Rob came out late. A goal for the U.S.
JP Delacameras with the call there. And Christine Lilly and Abby Wambach have been responsible for 5 of Team USA's 8 goals so far this tournament. The old guard and the new guard appear to be on the same page, but there was a time when they weren't even really reading the same book.
I used to play with Mia for so many years in college and the national team. And then you saw Mia and Abby join together and make some magic. And with Abby, it's been the same. It's been pretty quick transition.
For the first couple years of my career on this team, I thought she hated me because she never said a word. And half the time I'm inside my own head thinking, man, she's not even passing me the ball. Does she think I'm a good player?
I mean, I don't think I would never not pass my teammate the ball because I didn't like him. I did like Abby. I was quieter. Her personality was a little bit intimidating to me.
Since Mia has retired, we've been able to develop this bond and chemistry on the field. And I think, which makes it even more special, more so off the field, she's a friend of mine.
I think this past year we've just been pretty much fine-tuning and trying different things and adding some more dimensions to us, to our play. And now it's just, we don't have to say anything. Like if she crosses the ball and I mishead it and I didn't even have to look at her, I knew she was just like, there's no more of a guessing game. Now it's there, and now it's whether we're on. And I think for the most part we're going to be on.
She's a friend of mine. She's a very near and dear friend to me, and I really appreciate her so much more now so than I did before because she's almost on the brink of leaving, and I'm going to have to deal with, you know, getting more to develop chemistry with yet another forward. I really feel connected to Lil, and she's like a big sister to me, and I want so much for her, and I want her to know with a championship how much we love her. 2007 is about Christine Lilly.
And those two will have to continue to lead the charge if the U.S. is to add some already impressive hardware. They won the first ever edition of the Women's World Cup back in 1991 and 99. Our girl, Brandi Chastain, who's watching right now in California, I guarantee it, showing the abs with the winning PK. They lost in the semis to Germany in 2003, but ended up winning the bronze medal in that game versus Canada. And then 2007, they are back in the semis for the 5th time in 5 Women's World Cups. The U.S. has lost just once to Brazil in 22 meetings. That defeat coming over a decade ago. Is the #1 ranked team primed to be upset, or will they advance to their 3rd World Cup final? Brianna Scurry getting loose.
Everyone, to those watching this one tonight from Hangzhou Dragon Stadium in Hangzhou, China. It's a semifinal matchup, the United States versus Brazil. All kinds of great stories going into this one, including the USA's unbeaten streak at 50 under head coach Greg Ryan, 51 overall. But the big picture, the winner of this game will take on Germany, who defeated Norway, and that was in the other semifinal that was played last night. The Germans look very strong, winning it by the score of 3-0, and they still have not allowed a goal yet in this tournament, so they've not even trailed at this point. Goalkeeper story, though, is the big issue. Brianna Scurry, Hope Solo, and the numbers will show, Julie, that Bri has played much more against Brazil. Solo hasn't even had the opportunity to do that, but it was not about so much Bri's experience as Solo's maybe inexperience that prompted the change.
And I think the U.S. will be fine. We've been talking a lot about it, but again, a disruption that probably wasn't necessary, but I do think they'll be fine.
There was not a goalkeeper controversy coming into this tournament. There might be one now, and head coach Greg Ryan hasn't said, of course, what he would do for the next game if the USA wins. It's one game at a time for the USA national team, and that's what the Brazilian head coach Jorge Barcelos also told us yesterday when we talked about what if you would beat the United States, how would you react to that final game? And he said the Brazilians play it one game at a time. The two teams are at the center of the field. The USA in white and Brazil are in yellow. Semi-final match. Right now it's time for the national anthems of the United States and Brazil. Those are the national anthems of the United States and Brazil. Let's check out the starting lineup today. We'll start with the United States, where the most significant change was obviously yesterday's news that Brianna Scurry starts in goal for Hope Solo. But this is the same lineup we saw in a previous game.
Same exact lineup, except for Brianna Scurry. And you're going to see Osborne in that central midfield position, holding midfield next to Bach, Shannon Bach, and she's going to be in charge of marking at Daniela. And again, the same front three for the United States.
The big change, though, was in goal, and as we watch Brianna Scurry in action, you played with her on so many Olympic teams and World Cup teams. Why is she such a special, great goalkeeper?
She's got the fastest reflexes I've ever seen. She's such a great shot stopper, and that's why she's in the game today. Brazil is so crafty in front of goal, and Greg wants her to make sure that nothing gets on their net.
Well, Greg Ryan says that they're going to play at a fast tempo, and that means Marta and Christiane, they will move the ball quickly. They will create their scoring chances, so Bri will have to be on top of her game.
And that's the difficult thing about Brazil, is you can't just mark one out of the game. I mean, look at the World Cup the two of them are having. Marta with 5 goals this World Cup, Christiane with 4, and they're so good about individual technical ability. You can't contain them. It's so difficult. And with the variety they bring with their midfield and their forwards, they're going to have to play great, the United States, great team defense to keep in track of those two.
Brazil's lineup looks exactly like it did in previous games. Why make changes when they have done so well, especially with Andrea in goal? She's only given up a couple of goals. Marta, of course, co-scoring leader in this tournament with 5 goals, tied with Ragnhild Gudbrandsson of Norway. And Brazil will have to be very careful as well for Abby Wambach, because she is at the top of her game in this World Cup in China.
And she's been tremendous. She's led so many drives for the United States in the air, on the ground. She's scored in such a variety of ways. But United States knows coming against a Brazilian team today that's not as good in the air, doesn't mark as well on set pieces, they're going to have the advantage there, and Wambach will be the one they go to.
Keep your eyes on these dynamic duos, Lily and Wambach. Will they shine tonight, or will it be Marta and Christiane? Whichever duo does the best, Jules, might be a winner tonight.
That's a tough matchup. Those are great 4 players on the field tonight.
9 goals for the Brazilian duo. That's incredible. Headed here into the semifinals. A very hot night. They told us it was 84 degrees here. We're not buying that. Not at all.
Not as I sweat off pounds and I'm sitting.
Players need fluids. I think announcers do too. We're getting ready for this kickoff. The referee is the same referee that was at the 1999 Women's World Cup final, Nicole Pedignat of Switzerland.
It's actually hotter tonight than it was today. Amazingly so. It's like a hot summer day in Florida.
All set for the kickoff. This one's underway as Box sends this one long and wide. Brazil will get to it in the back. Intercepted by Kalupny. She's played every minute so far. Here's the U.S. to the long strike. Down went Andre, and she hangs on.
And what a great start for the United States. They've talked a lot about wanting to come out and pressure Brazil and not having as much success in the last games doing so.
Maicon kept it on the ground looking for Christian. Off Markcraft. Marta was held up there. Rampone, look at that high pressure from Marta as that goes out of play. We talked earlier about the goalkeeping change with Brianna Scurry. Julie, what's the big difference there? It's only one player, but it's the goalkeeper.
And, you know, there may be people at home saying, what is the big deal? It's just one player. Don't they switch out players all the time? But it is a big deal when it is a goalkeeper position. It's unprecedented at this stage. And the reason why is goalkeepers cannot replicate in practice what you get in a game. You need that rhythm. You need the communication with your back line. You need to be able to judge when to come for balls, when to stay on your line.
Foul was called on Brazil. Expected to be quite a few fouls in this one. Over 30 the last time those two clubs met in June at Giant Stadium. There were 7 yellow cards issued as well. 5 to Brazil. This one out of play right by the 2 benches. USA versus Brazil for the right to take on Germany in the final on Sunday. The loser gets the 3rd place match against Norway. This one is going to be headed out for a throw-in for the United States. Rampone to the throw-in. USA has lost only 1 time in 22 matches against Brazil. I think you played in that game, didn't you, Julie, back in 1997?
You had to go there, JP.
I'm looking for a reference.
I was there, actually.
Do you remember much about it?
I just remember it was very ugly.
Hopefully this one will be different, as it's played back by Daniela. We'll watch her tonight in the matchup. Leslie Osborne has that job of marking her for the most part. This one too far away for Alane.
When you mention that statistic, though, of Brazil having only beaten the United States 1 time, they have never beaten them in a World Cup or Olympics. And there's been a lot of talk with the players and articles about how they need to get past that. And as a Brazilian team, just feel confident and go into this, because typically the U.S. has unnerved them a bit. They start to implode. They get a little frustrated. So we will watch how Brazil handles any type of adversity today.
Stephanie Lopez over the ball. 3rd minute here in Hangzhou. Sent into the box. Here's where the USA expect to be dangerous and will have an advantage against Brazil. They scored both goals on set pieces in June at Giant Stadium, the 2-0 win.
And the United States will be looking for set pieces like that all game, trying to get fouls in and around the box, looking for corner kicks. Brazil known to not mark well man-to-man in the box on set pieces.
Ball belongs to Brazil on the sideline. They've scored more goals than the USA in this tournament so far. Had more shots on goal, but the big surprise for me, Julie, their defense. They've only given up 2 goals, which is really the same as the U.S.
Yeah, the talk always about Brazil, if they have one area of weakness on the women's side, it's their back line. Making errant passes and having mental lapses throughout the 90 minutes. And you saw that against Australia. One bad back pass brought Australia back into the game. But overall in this World Cup, they've actually been very strong and not having much time together.
Up that left flank, the very dangerous Christian. Trying to get around Whitehill in the box. She goes down. Play on, says Pedignat, the referee. That was close. Christian may have tried to oversell that, but it was close nonetheless. And Markcraft right now is down.
And here's a good look at the replay. She gets in behind her, and from that angle, it looks like she clips her. Here's another one. And I think the problem with that is if she hadn't sold it as much as she did, she may have gotten that call. But when you put your arms in the air and flop like that.
Oversold it?
Oversold it. The referees look for that. But
wouldn't that have been something?
But that's why Christiane and Marta are so dangerous. They can get in behind defenses. They love that 1v1 duel, and they can take on. And the United States has to be very careful not to allow their defenders to get isolated like that.
Here's the throw in for Brazil. The USA got out of the gate slowly with that 2-2 draw against North Korea. Did better against Sweden. Only a 1-0 win against Nigeria. Their best game, second half especially, of the England game. They're going to try to bring some of that here tonight.
And what's interesting is you heard Lori Kolupny, who had a very good game, say, you know, I think the difference for us in that England game is we focused on ourselves instead of worrying about other teams and worrying about how they play. And then the Brianna Scurry change happens. And again, they're focusing on another team.
Whitehill will have a free kick. She set one up from a little bit further out in New Jersey. Found Abby Wambach for that second goal.
And they've got Aline on Abby Wambach.
Played inside the box, headed down, save Andrea. Looked like Shannon Box got to that. I say looked like we are very far away from this field on the opposite side. Here is Daniela with a pass. Marta, the crowd knows her. You can hear the response. Nice pullback. Formiga goes down. Kolupny fouls. So it's the USA committing some fouls here. You do not want to give Brazil free kicks either. Neither team wants to give up free kicks this close to goal.
And that is a good call, obviously, by the referee. The United States knows that Brazil is great on direct free kicks. Marta loves to strike them. She's probably a little bit too far out to hit this straight on goal, especially with a world-class goalkeeper like Brianna Scurry in there.
Daniela is over the ball.
But a good first test for Brianna Scurry, not having had many touches this year in goal.
Daniela plays it up, scores off the line. It went through her hands. And it's cleared out.
And this is precisely what we've been talking about. Brianna Scurry only has started in 7 games since 2005. Here she comes out. She gets knocked a little bit, to be fair, but if you're going to come out as a goalkeeper, you've got to hold on to that. And the problem with only playing 7 games is you just aren't in a rhythm. You're not used to handling balls with pressure like that. It's really hard to replicate, like we said, in practice.
For sure she is confident. She told us that yesterday. And you know that she'll be ready. Her teammates have to be ready as well. Because it doesn't matter who's in goal. Brazil one day is going to beat the United States. USA hopes it is just not tonight. They have closed the gap quite a bit.
And there's a better matchup. You see Christy Rampone in your picture and Christiane. That's a better matchup for the United States rather than Christiane on Kat Whitehill, because Christy Rampone has the speed to stay with Christiane.
Cut back by Christiane. In the box, the turn by Marta. The look was inside, cut off there. O'Reilly with a miss hit there. Brazil have the USA under some pressure here. Formiga. The switch there, too far for Helene.
Helene saying, give it to my feet. I don't know what to do with it in the air.
As for the Brazilians, they've done well to get to this point. We mentioned they didn't give up any goals in the opening round. They had the win against New Zealand, blew away China as well. Close call against Denmark. And then the Australia game where they did face some adversity for the first time, but they came back on a game winner by Christiane. But they have looked pretty solid. Their biggest bump in the road to me was that Denmark game where they narrowly won it. But they knew they were going through anyway.
I think they hit a pretty big bump against Australia there in the second half when they came back. And it was a good lesson for the United States and one they actually don't need to review because they're so good at it, of collective team defense and how to contain Brazil.
Renata Costa on that free kick. Daniela couldn't get to it. That's Esther, knocked down, picked up by Shannon Box, going wide on the right side. Box had one of the 3 goals the other night against England. The team scored 3 goals inside of 13 minutes.
And you're already seeing Formiga yelling at one of her players, and this is something that Brazil has to be careful with.
Another whistle to stop play, and the ball is going to be turned over to the Brazilians here in the 10th minute. of the semifinal matchup. George Barcelos, gracious enough to sit down with us the last couple of days. Said he might like to coach someday in the United States. Maybe 2009 when the new Women's League is launched. I'd like to see some of the Brazilian players come over too, namely Marta.
I'd love to see a lot of these players come. They're so fun to watch. And talking to Coach Barcelos, we said, what is the Brazilian style of soccer? And the first thing he says is happiness. I love that.
Intended for Wambach. There's always going to be a big battle there. She will not be unmarked by the Brazilians. Wambach has half of her team's goals so far in this World Cup, 4 of the 8 scored.
She's having a great World Cup and could have a very big day today. Already in the first 10 minutes, the United States had 2 good set-piece looks. And Brazil not marking very well. You're seeing Abby get open, Shannon Box get open.
U.S. will play it back. Halfway line, Rampone spinning. Playing now in her 3rd World Cup. Near the sideline, she'll play it back. Mark Kraft launches it. Up for grabs, couple players after it, including Kolupny. Brazil had more numbers there. Daniela couldn't get through. Rampone on the right. And this one goes out of play. Marta, the player to watch certainly for Brazil. She says her team still hasn't won anything yet. Still need to improve certain aspects of their play. They came here to win the title. That's one of the things that we had asked her head coach about yesterday, because if they could win this game, Julie, that would be almost like winning a World Cup for them. They would have to refocus for Germany. Yeah,
this is such a big game, especially with the Olympics being so fresh, and they think they should have won that game. They played such a great game that many say the United States, that we were lucky to get through and win the gold medal. Yeah. So you don't forget that. You heard Andrea say in an article that she cried for 3 weeks after that game. So fresh on their mind, and there are 14 of them on the team are from that Olympic team.
In about 20 minutes time, we'll be joined from our Bristol, Connecticut studios by Tony DeCicco. Get his take, certainly for sure, on the goalkeeping situation and whatever else develops here in the first half.
And it's interesting to watch. Brazil's playing a 3-5-2, which is 3 backs, 2 of them marking and 1 sweeping behind, and they're having to adjust to the United States 3 front. And if the U.S. can continue to find their forwards, what it makes them do is drop one of their outside midfielders, one of Brazil's outside midfielders.
You see in the world feed some physical play, a little bit off the ball in that particular case. And expect that from both sides today. A lot at stake, and these are 2 teams that will play the physical game. Whitehill, 119th appearance for her country. Had her 100th cap earlier this year. Sends this one long inside. Andrea punched it out. You would have thought she might have been able to catch that one. Far side it goes. Andrea hasn't been tested all that much so far in this World Cup, so we'll see how that goes tonight here in Hangzhou. Good run down that right side, but running out of room was Wambach, who was angled off by Aline.
And Andrea coming way off her line to punch that. She, for the last few years, has been known actually to stay on her line too much. So Coach Barcelos said we've been working on having her come out and be more aggressive off her line.
Going for Brazil. The wing, the Esther pass is blocked off the face of Christian. U.S. battles there, right between the benches. It goes out for a Brazil throw-in. If you're wondering who the favorite side is here, I have to think it sounds more like a pro-Brazilian crowd, especially anytime Marta has had the ball. Renata Costa holding it up there for Brazil. Looking to win their first Women's World Cup. The men have won it 5 times. Tough collision there from Box, and now finally, and I'm not surprised to see a card coming now. There's been enough fouling without a card that you would think there has to be a message sent.
And in the pregame interview with Jaime Mota and Coach Ryan said we're going to try and disrupt their play. And you see Boxy doing just that, coming in late. Got to be careful if you pick up a yellow that early, though.
Second yellow card in this tournament for the United States. Of course, it's a clean slate now. Rampone had one in the earlier round. Sent inside, scores off the line, and she grabs that. Based on Brianna Scurry, she told us yesterday she still uses visualization in prepping for big games. She plays back big saves she has made throughout her career in her mind. Just the big saves she's made in advance of big matches, and she admits this is obviously a big one.
That was good. She dropped that first one coming out. She held on to the second, so good recovery for Brian. I tell you, I had flashbacks of playing with her and the intensity she can bring to a game when I saw her warming up when we were down there doing our stand-up. She was intense.
That is Esther, I believe, and she is hurting. And quickly the medical staff is out there. Or it's Ilane that's down, apparently. Extremely hot conditions here tonight. There is really no breeze.
Here's another look. Lori Kolupny coming in with the foot up high. Looks like she caught her on her knee.
And any chance they get for an injury, players are going to come to the sideline and load up on liquid refreshment to be sure.
Typically, I would say in this heat, Brazil is favored. But with how fit the United States team is, having trained and played together for 2 years, I think they are favored in this heat, actually.
Scoreless here, 17th minute, one yellow card on Shannon Box. And they're still taking a look at Elene, who plays in the same club team as Marta in Sweden. USA have done well in semifinals back in 1991, the win over Germany, the loss to Norway that everybody remembers. That World Cup was held in Sweden, the win over Brazil, and then the loss to Germany. Everybody remembers that too, Julie. But what I remember, that 1999 game, I think that was Brianna Scurry's best World Cup game, the one in Palo Alto against Brazil.
That quarterfinal match where she saved us so many times. She had, and that's the game where you can see what when we say great shot stopper, she just personified it there.
Semifinal, she was great in the final, but that semifinal was huge against Brazil. When I asked her yesterday which game she remembers the most, though, that one in '99 or the one in 2004 when they won the gold medal, we knew the answer. It was the gold medal game. So they're still taking a look on the sideline at Elene. And then play will be resumed. You got to be looking at a few minutes of stoppage time, one would think, if Petignat plays true to it. There's been a good bit of a delay here. Throw in for Brazil. U.S. trying to break it up on the wing. Formiga slides it over. Maicon. And you can hear the crowd again behind the Brazilians. Maicon stopping, looking. Daniela blocked, taken down by Leslie Osborne, and the foul is called. That's the matchup to look for. Leslie was trying to win that clean, obviously. You don't want to give up fouls this close.
And the individual brilliance of Brazil on the ball is so fun to watch. U.S. has to be careful, though, of giving up fouls in and around their penalty box.
The wall being pushed back to 10 yards. O'Reilly's in it with Lily. That's Daniela, the face of Brianna Scurry in goal. It comes in, it's headed up high over Scurry. It's deflected out, though, so Brazil is going to have a corner kick.
And you can see in the first 20 minutes the tactic the United States is taking is disrupt the flow of Brazil's game. They like to play and possess and come in hard and disrupt it. The best U.S. chances, conversely, on the offensive side for the United States have come from set pieces, though, so continuing to look for set pieces around Brazil's goal.
Kolupny's at the near post, helping out Scurry. Some problems in front and some warnings there from the experienced referee Petignat. Marta will take this on the in-swinger. Scurry was coming out, and that goes in wide. And again a deflection. So second corner kick here for Brazil. Formiga's coming over to take it.
And this is such a dangerous ball because Brianna Scurry doesn't want to come out for it. It's a little too far. It's tempting, though. You see her, she steps off her line.
Brazil was thinking short corner there. Now we'll see Mike Cohn is drifting back. Formiga drives it near post. It's deflected in. Brazil has scored. Christian.
And Formiga hitting the near post. Osborne thinks she's going to deflect it out.
Oh boy, I thought Christian touched it. She did not.
She's trying to head it across that inline for another corner, and just so difficult to do, especially with this humidity tonight and the steamy situation. It's going to skip like that.
Is there a communications problem in there possibly, or no?
You got two people on the near post whose job it is. You saw the post person, and then Leslie Osborne, who's stationed near post, whose job it is to clear that out. That's probably a difficult ball for Bry to come for. The safer play would have been for Leslie to take it with her feet and just clear it.
So the USA, 3 straight shutouts and more. That is gone, but more importantly, they are down for the first time since that North Korea match when they went down 2-1. When Wambach was out off on the sideline, they ended up tying that. Here's Daniela. Osborne breaks it up, tries to push it ahead. Wambach trying to turn. Brazil will get it back. Let's see what this goal does now for both of these teams. Christine Little immediately took her team into the huddle to talk about it.
I was just going to say, you saw Christine Lilly there, as great captains will do, pulled the team together quickly, and I'm sure she's telling them we're fine. And here's another look at it. It's skipping in, and Leslie Osborne just reacts a little bit too late to it. She's coming back towards your own goal, which is always a dangerous situation. The other option was for Lori Kolupny to step off her post and try and clear it, but post people like to stay there and make the goal smaller for the goalkeeper.
By the way, I can't remember a tournament like this to see so many own goals scored. FIFA even changed the ruling on a couple. Here's Wambach sending it in wide of Andrea, but it's a corner kick. It was deflected out. So the USA will have their first here.
Well, you remember, JP, in 1999, own goal against Germany?
Yep.
This is not unprecedented.
The U.S. will take the corner on the far side. That's Andrea. She's never beaten the U.S. in 11 previous tries.
And if we get a wide angle, you're going to see that Shannon Box is being marked man-to-man, but Abby Wambach's got about 3 yards on her. Aline, number 3, the captain for Brazil. If I'm Aline, I put a hand on Abby. I do the same for Leslie Osborne. You don't want to lose her on that back post. There she goes, a little tighter now.
Lopez drives it across. And it was contact, and it's going against Abby Wambach. So there's some pushing there. It goes against the offense.
And here's the battle in the box. Abby's in a difficult position because she's already too far in, and the ball's behind her, so she has no momentum when she heads it.
A word for the captain, Aline. Referee looks a little bit disturbed here. If you look at the body language, I would think as a referee, you really don't want to toss somebody out. You're in a semifinal match. There's only been 1 yellow card issue, but I think Pettignan wants to set the tone here, take control.
And the U.S., how they react to this, like you said, JP, will be critical.
Oh, both sides.
They have to, the United States has to try and settle the ball a little bit more.
Marta trying to push it through.
Get some type of rhythm going in this game. Get some confidence. Plenty of time is what Christine Lilly, I'm sure, was telling them. And Brazil, on the other hand, continue to attack.
Well, Greg Ryan told us today, that's Brett Hall beside him, his assistant coach, that if things were not going well, they might have to make adjustments in game. There's not much to adjust right there. It's an unfortunate own goal.
No, and I think to Brianna, to defend Brianna Scurry, there's nothing she can do about that. She may have possibly been positioned a little closer to the near post, but those things happen so fast, very difficult.
About 5 minutes away from bringing in Tony DiCicco, former head coach of this USA women's national team. Right now, it's the USA trailing by a goal on an own goal that came in the 20th minute, headed in by Leslie Osborne, who's had a very good tournament so far for the United States, played well in a couple of starts and one relief role. Throw in for the United States. Their consecutive shutout minutes streak ended at 3:18 after that one that was given up. Had not given up a goal since the 62nd minute of that North Korea match. That was game 1.
And hopefully someone on the United States said something to Leslie Osborne. You're fine. This is okay. These things happen. You'll remember in 1999 when Brandy scored the own goal against Germany in the quarterfinal, Carla Overbeck came up to her and said, "No problem, Brandy, we are fine." And she said that made all the difference in the world right there. And she ended up coming back to score a goal for the United States.
Throw in for Christine Lilly, the oldest player to score in a World Cup, thanks to a goal the other night against England, age 36. Previous record, 35-year-old Charmaine Hooper of Canada. In the previous World Cup, Brazil will knock it out. Plenty of time left. Obviously, the USA don't want to open things up, don't want to fall behind either by a couple of goals, because that's something they haven't faced. Actually, they haven't faced that since Greg Ryan has been the head coach. There's going to be another card given, I believe. Kalupny is going in the books. So, when have you seen this, Julie? A couple of yellow cards already on the United States. None for Brazil, and they have been known to be more of the physical team in this rivalry.
That was 3 years ago. I think this U.S. team actually plays a very physical style, and Brazil would be wise not to play physical against them. I thought they actually came out too physical against the United States in 2004 and got lost in that. The Brazilian style is to play and possess, and if they try and have a physical battle with the United States, they're going to lose that battle.
Formiga hanging on to the left shoulder. The concern Barcelos on the sideline. That's been one of the better players, I think, for Brazil. Formiga, underrated. Here's Brazil attacking in the box. Marta looking, shooting low. Marta has scored. Brazil leads by 2. For the first time in 51 games under Greg Ryan, the USA trails by more than a goal.
And this is precisely why Brianna Scurry was brought in. Marta on the top of the box. I can't tell if it takes a deflection, but this is the type of save Brianna Scurry's known to make. And she just can't get to it wide, but what brilliant play by Marta. She's so good with that left foot. Such a quick trigger.
She's now scored more World Cup goals than the great Mia Hamm. That's her 9th. She is Brazil's all-time leader in this competition, and again, she's 21 years of age. Now, desperation here for the U.S. Plenty of time, but you've got to change this momentum. How do you do it as the corner kick's coming up?
You got to start playing for set pieces. You got to start getting a rhythm. But that definitely takes a twist. And with 27 minutes into the game and the United States 2-0 down, here's a team, the U.S. team, who hasn't dealt with much adversity. 50-game unbeaten streak under Greg Ryan. So how they react to this again. But it goes back to the question about why Greg Ryan made the goalkeeper change.
Not a corner kick because the foul was called there, and a yellow card on Aline. So it's a free kick here for the U.S.
He put Brianna Scurry in that goal precisely for a shot like that.
It was a bold move, to be sure. Unprecedented. Right now, the USA is down by 2. Sent to the back post. Headed down by box. It's loose in the box, and the USA could not get a white jersey close to it. Brazil trying to move it up the field. U.S. sends it back. U.S. getting to it. Wambach makes a run, far post, but the USA loses the ball. Daniela battles there, and the foul is called against the United States in the 29th minute. An own goal, and then a goal by Marta in the 27th minute.
And going back to what Marta brings, and there's another foul, this time on Kalupny. going back to what Marta brings, she takes and faces up 3 people on the edge of the box, and Bry's got a lot of traffic in front of her. She can't see. That's why it's so difficult. We've seen Marta score a couple of those like that this World Cup. Very difficult for goalkeepers with all that noise in front of them.
Scurry will clear that. Marta may be the most confident 21-year-old you will see playing this sport, men's game or women's game. She thinks she can beat players, and she won't force the play. If it's on, she'll take it. If not, she'll play make. She's the female version of Ronaldinho.
And having played with Brianna Scurry for 10 years, I've seen how she responds to pressure, and she loves the big moments. So I think actually you want someone like that responding with confidence, and I think you're going to see that even with her having only started 7 games in the last 3 years.
Let's bring in Tony DeCicco from Connecticut in a moment as Wambach goes down. And we're going to call the advantage. There's no advantage there. Coach, I was going to ask you your thoughts, but we've already heard them on the goalkeeping change. So let's say, watching from the studios, can you notice anything about Bry and her reaction time here?
Well, you know, she needs games, and some of her decisions haven't been spot on. And, you know, I think that she's better than that goal that Marta just scored. But the USA just needs to keep playing. They need to stay with their game. They're doing a decent job of disrupting the Brazilian game in the midfield. They need their leadership to keep them as calm as possible. And they got to remember, they're playing against a sweeper, so those long central balls aren't going to work. They need to use diagonal balls or bring the sweeper to one side, change the point over to the other side.
Stay with us for a second, Coach. With the USA attacking in the offensive third, they'll have a throw in deep, and it'll be Whitehill who will take it. Long throw inside. Brazil will clear it out again. Not out of play. Whitehill will push it back. Here's Lily trying to turn. Down she goes. She's going to get a free kick.
And I like that from Christine Lilly. She's saying, give me the ball, and I'm going to make something happen here. I'm going to draw a foul. Another very good opportunity for the United States.
The free kick. Lily sends it in. And it almost made it through. Andrea's upset about something. Tony, now let's go back to you in the goalkeeping situation. This was a tough call, obviously. Greg Ryan did something that has been unprecedented. It's hard, I guess, for you guys to say back there what it looks like here. But how shocked were you when you heard that news yesterday?
You know, nobody really liked that. I think he's lost some credibility with his team right now. But the U.S. can't worry about that. The U.S. is doing some very good things. They are getting set pieces. They will score. They almost scored just then. They need to keep getting set pieces. They need to keep disrupting the Brazilian midfield play, and they need to keep their heads and keep playing. And in contrast, Brazil now can't lose their heads, and their emotions sometimes get the worst of them. They need to get a possession game going, because right now it's really a U.S. style game, which isn't necessarily real pretty, but it's more U.S. style game.
Coach, thanks for your time. We'll get you in the second half.
Hey, thank you.
Now, this is almost a replica of the Australia game. And people had sworn Australia off at about 25 minutes into that first half. Brazil goes up 2-0. Australia comes back with a defensive lapse that Brazil made. So lots of soccer left for the United States. And they've seen that game, and they know that.
Well, some nice movement on the sideline by Christiane. The dynamic duo we talked about at the top, she and Marta, now have scored 10 goals. Far side, cutting through, not much room there, and it's cleared away. USA in a hole here, 2-0. Most adversity they've faced under head coach Greg Ryan. They only trailed 4 times by a single goal, never by more than one. This is a huge semifinal match from Hangzhou, USA and Brazil. The winner goes on to take on Germany on Sunday in Shanghai for the Women's World Cup final. These two teams 1 step away. A couple of goals in this one by the Brazilians. An own goal first off of Leslie Osborne, and then the great Marta with her World Cup leading 6th goal of this tournament. This one's knocked out of play. Throwing for the United States. We saw earlier Brianna Scurry trying to give her team some leadership, clapping her hands, yelling some encouragement. Some of the other veterans must be doing the same, because there are a lot of young players that are out there right now that haven't experienced this.
But that's the difficult part of the goalkeeping position, is you're standing back there all
far away.
Right, and you have so much time to think about what just happened.
Brazil right now with a lead over the United States. 2-0. 35th minute. Box will switch it around. Rampone puts it up there for grabs. Headed down. There was no one close enough. Columbia jumps in, takes the shot, but it's wide. But it was there. Good reaction from Lori Columbia, who reads the game very well.
Anticipated that second ball, and she tries to get in and at least get something on goal. A little bit off balance, but a little bit better patience by the United States, using Christy Rampone as the outside back coming forward.
Cleared away by Andrea Lilly. U.S. 1 goal away from making a game out of it. Down by 2. Need one to put some pressure on the Brazilians. You don't want them to be comfortable with the ball and a 2-goal lead. Throw in for Rampone. A partisan Brazilian crowd for sure here in Hangzhou. This is Osborne slotting it in. Lilly tried to turn. It was picked off. Good collective defense there by Brazil. Comes all the way back. That's Kat Whitehill. Markgraf will send it over to the right. Rampone. Brazil picking up a little bit higher pressure line. Markgraf's able to go over that. It's a difficult pass to make. Brought down. Yellow will try it from distance. Right at Scurry.
I think that's a very heads-up play, because Christian knows Brianna Scurry just let one in. Test her from far.
Osborne will push this back. Whitehill under pressure from the speedy Christian, forcing the USA to give the ball back. 37th minute. Let's get an update from our Bristol, Connecticut studios. Rob Stone.
Well, JP, coming up at half, first half analysis. Tony and Heather next to me. They're already talking subs for the second half. The score stays at 2-0, plus a head-to-head comparison between Marta and Abby, all coming up at the break. Loving your calls, guys, by the way.
And we'll look forward to that, Rob. Rob Stone, Tony DeCicco, Heather Mitz, part of our World Cup team. This one goes over. Scurry's coming out. Handles it right there at the edge of the box.
Talking to Coach Ryan today at the team hotel, he said, we want to try and play a little bit. We want to find Shannon Bach. She's going to be our playmaker today. Unable to do so far.
Mike Cohn. How much did that own goal set the U.S. back?
Well, I think that's always a hard way to start, because you got, besides going down a goal, you got one player that you're trying to pick up, and the team is frustrated with it. Not frustrated with that player, but frustrated that that type of situation happens. But it does happen. It's happened a lot in this World Cup. They've seen it happen before, and I think the killer is the second.
Scurry will clear this one. Brianna Scurry's won so many games for the USA women's national team in so many big tournaments, but she was in a tough spot too, from not having a lot of repetition here and changing the dynamics of the team, switching goalkeepers. So this was tough. This is a bold move. If it works, even if it does work, you probably won't hear people say that that was a great move, even if it does work.
Well, the bit I find so interesting is Greg Ryan, in his 50 games, has played Hope solo 40 of those, started her 40 of those. So it's never been a question of which goalkeeper he's going to choose. He's always defended Hope. So the switch caught everyone by surprise.
Whitehill long throw. Brazil will try to clear. Osborne chasing it down. She and Marta. Marta went down. And she's still down. In some pain. And they'll stop play. She may have taken an elbow towards the back of the neck.
And again, a very physical game. An unintentional by Leslie Osborne.
All the players coming over to the sideline for refreshment. Let's check out our comparison of the two great stars. You look at Abby Wambach and Marta in terms of the touches. Abby's had more touches, but depends on, I guess, where those touches are, Julie, in terms of how effective these players are. And Marta has that big goal.
And there's a good look of Leslie just coming across and catching her on the neck. Similar thing happened in the England game with Abby catching their captain Faye White in the nose.
Wambach, as that graphic showed, has been knocked down as well 5 times, and that may not be too unusual for Wambach, but 5 times in the first half is a lot. Halfway line, Markgraf sends it forward. Marta comes back out of the field with the referee's permission. 41st minute. Andrea clears. USA getting a big surprise here today against Brazil. We've told you they've been closing the gap, but right now they are up by a couple. Here is Christiane. Nice move there. Box has to be careful. She's got 1 yellow. And now it's a free kick opportunity for Brazil.
And they're inching a little bit closer each time they take these. Marta going over to the ball.
Almost scored against Australia the other night, but it dinged off the goalpost.
I think you're going to see Brazil put this one on the net, test out Brianna Scurry again, even though it's probably outside their range.
Marta is ready. So is Daniela. She'll pass that inside. Aline was there, but it didn't go to her. Brought down near side. Christiane. Double team. Played it back. The free player is Mike Cohn. Formiga. Brazil will send it inside. That's headed straight up the middle by Box. Esther looking for it. They're so good on the ball. Daniela. Blocked. Taken away. Renata Costa's pass. Marta, nice ball through on the right. Here's the cross up high over Scurry. But that's what Greg Ryan was talking about before. They are so quick. They are so unpredictable. You know the shots are coming. You don't know when, sometimes, and where.
And a great little move by Marta to free up Daniela, who's going to take shots from everywhere. But Brazil looking very confident. And the good news is for Brazil is that last game created some adversity for them. The quarterfinal match where they went up 2 against Australia, they ended up giving up 2. Australia came back to tie it, and there was a lot of talk in the papers about how that was so great for them because they learned from that game not to allow any mental lapses again.
The coach said they lost focus after having an easy 2-0 lead against the Aussies, who nearly pulled off an upset. Settled down now by Brazil. Still a long way to go in this. But the USA doesn't want to see a confident Brazil with this kind of a lead much longer. Here's a long shot, high and wide of Scurry. In the 43rd minute, Elene took it. So Scurry is ready to put it back into play. Just saw a shot of Barcelos on the bench. When we asked him about the USA's goalkeeping change, his quote took a while to get it out of him, but he said, now is not the time to make a change. That's the big story of this match, this entire World Cup. And the story, I think, will become bigger if the USA loses. And again, still a long way to go. Markgraf going long. O'Reilly. That's wide of Andrea. USA, though, need to create some chances against Andrea. They've had success against her in the past, but right now we haven't seen too much.
And it'd be good for the United States in these final 5 minutes of this half to go in and at least create some rhythm if they're not going to get a goal. Obviously, a goal is the preferred option, but at least go in with some confidence so you don't walk in at halftime with your heads completely down.
Wambach Far side, O'Reilly. That's Elene. Brazil will have a throw-in. Halftime, Rob, Tony, and Heather already teased us a little bit, thinking about subs. Are you thinking about subs too, or too early?
No, I think you give these players a little bit more of a chance to get in, and then you start thinking about it. But you don't think about. I wouldn't sub the goalkeeper position.
No.
If that's what you're thinking.
No. That's not me at all. No. Yellow card just issued on Renata Costa. No, I'm not there at all.
And another great opportunity for the United States. They will be looking for these types of fouls.
I'm glad you said that, by the way, to clear it up. I'm talking about field players.
Well,
Absolutely.
I heard Rob talking about the studio and them mapping that out, and I don't think they were thinking that way either, but my mind went to that.
Lilly on a free kick to try to bring USA back before the halftime whistle. They're down 2-0, 4 minutes, so that's good. Played long into the box. Headed up by Box. That one was wide. USA will get it back. All that extra time being put on for the injuries that we've seen in this first half. Esther's pass. Christian running up the wing. Cutting it inside. The great Marta. Oh, Christian went down. Box took her down. She's going to be gone. That's going to be her second yellow card. Oh, boy. It's getting worse and worse for the United States. They will play with 10.
And I think that is a poor decision by the referee. I'm going to see this replay again, but what I saw watching Christian make that run is she cut in behind Shannon Box and clipped her. Boxy doesn't even see her.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
You're right.
I could see it from up here.
You're right.
Boxy doesn't even see her. She actually clips Shannon Box.
That's a horrible call, as the world feed just showed.
And you would think, I look to the lines referee, the lines person, because she's supposed to see that. You would think she would be over there, but
Boy,
the head referee didn't even look to find.
how shocking is that? So USA down by 2 and down a player. Here it goes inside. Scurry punching it out, getting 2 fists to it. The referee is wearing a headset in communication with the referee's assistants. And it took a second or two before that card came out, so I'm not sure whether she had dialogue.
She should have at least looked.
Right, I agree.
Because she was watching ball. She wasn't looking behind her. All she sees is 2 players down.
Well, the only
That is poor to determine or to influence a game like that without having seen it.
Seeing it live, I'm watching so many other things on the field, and I'm thinking that's bad if Box clipped her. But the replay clearly showed there it was a different story. So,
but that's why they have their headsets and why they use their lines people.
Well, that's why they should.
Can't. It's impossible for them to watch everything. They need more eyes on the field.
Played in by Christian. And now the USA will clear it. The only other player that was red carded in a World Cup by the United States or from the United States was Brian Ascuri, and I think you remember that 1995 World Cup. Handled the ball, if you can believe it, outside the box with a team up. Referee red carded her. And if I'm not mistaken, there was some controversy in that too, and that referee did not work another game, if memory serves me correct.
That was the one Mia Hamm jumped in goal, right?
She played, yes, she did.
But
got to get video of that.
And you can see Shannon Box saying you've got
she knew.
She knew right away. But more importantly is the fact that you go in 2-0 already, and now you have that compounded on top of it.
The guys in the studio will have an awful lot more to talk about. Not just the subs, the scoreline, but also the USA down to 10. Formiga drives that one across. Headed down, USA will clear. Switched over to the opposite side. Esther trying to get through. She does. Esther looks to cross it. It's deflected out. Another corner kick coming up here for Brazil. 4th one. They are not letting up. And it'll be interesting to see how they play up a player as well in the second half. Marta will take this corner.
Aline, number 3, the target for Brazil often. Kat Whitehill is marking her.
That's low. That's cleared by Osborne. Formiga tried a diving header there. We're in stoppage time. There's 4 minutes added on, and that's it. A disastrous first half. Disastrous for the United States. They give up an own goal, then they give up another one to Marta, then they lose Shannon Box to a red card, so they'll play with 10 at the start of the second half. After the break, Rob Stone, Tony DeCicco, Heather Mitz, they'll be talking about this one all the way back in Bristol, Connecticut. 2-0, Brazil surprising the United States in Hangzhou.
World-class soccer is on ESPN. Women's World Cup, MLS Primetime Thursday, Champions League, Euro 2008, and World Cup 2010.
Report.
Well, this one played out like a Stephen King novel for the U.S. in the opening 45 minutes. Not pretty gruesome, I'll tell you that. Heather Mitz, Tony DeCicco, Rob Stone. We take a look at the highlights and the hole the U.S. has dug themselves in. 20th minute, a corner kick and an own goal off of Leslie Osborne. Third own goal of the tournament.
And for defender, just get your body in front of this ball. She's going back towards her own goal, which is so difficult and a strange bounce. It's in the back of the U.S.'s goal.
She heads it at shin level. That's what your shin's for. Then the 27th minute, Marta, near post, scurry. Maybe she should have had this one, Coach.
Well, Marta picks Lopez's pocket. She has the ball. Let me just say, I know Brianna Scurry. If she's on her game, she makes this save. I think she's a bit too tight to the goal. I think she needs to be out another step.
But you still think mentally she's in good shape. And then arguably the worst call we've ever seen in our lives. And we'd be saying this if a Brazilian was sent off for this as well. Shannon Box was run over. She was fouled, yet she is the one who is called for the foul, giving her her second yellow. She is out for the game, out for the title game or the third place game on Sunday. U.S. is now almost out of this tournament, down 2-0, down a player for the final 45 minutes. Some serious adjustments need to be made in the locker room. And do you make them right now, and what do you do?
Well, the first thing you do, if you're Greg Ryan, is you say, we can win this game, and I think they can. They've been getting a lot of set-piece opportunities. If they continue to get them, they'll score goals. And the second thing you need to do is not make any defensive subs. You need to start getting attacking players, maybe change your system a little bit to get more players forward, even if you only have 10.
Right, one goal, they're back in it. I think set pieces are going to be huge. Look for Abby Wambach's head. Then they're back in this game. Maybe go to a 3-back, bring in Tina Ellison back in the back with that speed, and then see if they can just wear out the Brazil defense and get the equalizer.
Well, sometimes when the games are full 11v11, Brazil looks like they have a player advantage. Now they definitely have a player advantage. It's going to be an intriguing second half. When we return, we break down Marta versus Abby Wambach. Right now, Marta's winning this duel. Brazil is up 2-0.
This Nike Soccer Halftime Report is...
Back to Hangzhou, where the big storylines today. Brianna Scurry starting in goal in place of Hope Solo. A couple of goals allowed in the first half. Marta has scored one. She leads this World Cup in goals. And Shannon Box, in a very controversially wrong second yellow card that was issued to her, now is out for this game. And the next game, will it be the third place game or the final? Time will tell. Right now, the USA needs a huge comeback, and they've already made one substitution. Stephanie Lopez out. Carly Lloyd in. Julie Fadi, what does that do?
It means they took one defender out and put another midfield in, so they're going with a 3-4-2, playing a player down. 3 in the back line, 4 in the middle, and 2 up top.
And Tina Ellertson is also up, warming up behind the Brazilian goal. So we may see her come in as well. Some anxious moments here, though. At halftime, we saw Hope Solo out there with goalkeeping coach Phil Wedden. And there was obviously some speculation that was a pretty good warm-up. Would have surprised us for sure. Another surprise, I guess, during this World Cup. But the thought was on the minds of a lot of people here when they saw that warm-up, because there was no other player that was there. Carly Lloyd battling there against Mike Cohn. USA doesn't have to get one early, but they can't give one up. They're playing with 10 after the Box send-off near the end of the first half. Elene's pass.
And you can see when you're playing with 10, it changes the way you play. You can't come in as hard. You're a player down all over the field. You got to stay compact, tight,
This is adversity for sure for the United States.
And hard to do against a very good technical Brazilian team. And I would imagine not many times you play in a game, in practice even, a man down. So hopefully for the United States, this is something they've addressed coming into this World Cup and at least discussed and practice a little bit.
Well, the big story for people that do not follow women's soccer was the change in goal. Brianna Scurry in for Hope Solo. Can you tell, Julie, by the way the game went, not talking about Brian necessarily, but the way the team has gone, if it has affected them in terms of their chemistry on the field?
Well, I think it's hard to tell how it's affected them chemistry-wise, but again, I think it creates a distraction and a disruption that you don't need coming into a match like this. And I think Lori Kolepny said it so well when we talked to her in interviews that finally the U.S. had been focusing on them and not worried so much about opponents. And then the move happened. And it's been a topic for 2 days. No question. They've been grilled about it from the media. Coach Ryan was grilled by the press yesterday in the press conference. So it becomes a big distraction, and you're dealing with a player who's visibly upset. Hope Solo was.
Yeah. And in fairness to Greg Ryan, body language yesterday seemed uncomfortable at the news conference. Not this morning. He seemed fine with it. Left side. Maicon bumping, getting free almost. Scurry was going to come out. That was seemed like another communications error in the back between two players.
And that's the difficult part when Brianna Scurry hasn't had many games, is communicating with that back line. That's such a key component to goalkeeping. And you can see, though, the speed of those Brazilians. Coming down that flank, Maicon, Kate Markgraf, one of the fastest players on the U.S. team, and she just went and put it into fifth gear by her.
And again, you're playing with 10 against Brazil's 11. Sometimes Brazil plays like they have even more players out there. Look at this. That's a dance and a half. Marta will send it across. Here's where you see, though, also what Brazil is made of and how different they are. Do they have that killer instinct? Can they put the United States away? Everything is in their favor, up by 2 goals and up a player.
And that's an excellent question, because it's been the criticism of teams past by Brazil is that they can't finish it off. They have mental lapses. They make mistakes.
The yellow card just given out again. So the trail gets a little longer. Wambach in the books. We've got a Brazilian player down. Wambach went in hard against Renata Costa. U.S. still really haven't tested Andrea in this one, and 1 goal will turn things around. USA have some subs up, by the way. Ellertson was up. And Allie Wagner up. They say she's got maybe 30 minutes in her because of a groin injury. Will we see her make her World Cup debut in this one, in this tournament? Here's a quick shot taken. That could have been lights out, game over. I wouldn't fancy anybody's chances if Brazil takes a 3-0 lead, not even the U.S.
Good rhythm by Brazil. Maicon getting free again on that flank. And just wide. Daniela loves those shots. She can take them from anywhere. Hit it very well also.
Ellertson, Wagner, and Natasha Kai are the subs up behind the goal that Andrea is defending. Brazil right now shocking the United States with a 2-0 lead. USA favored to win this World Cup, ranked #1 by FIFA. Brazil ranked #8. But Brazil have had so far the better World Cup tournament when you compare the two. That one's blocked out by Kolepny.
You can see the difference when Brazil has the ball. They're confident and they're standing players up. Marta's standing on the ball in the corner. The U.S. struggling to get to balls, lunging for things, just off balance this entire game. And now with a man down, a player down, that task of trying to hold the ball becomes that much more difficult.
A physical game, and in this case, the USA with more cards than the Brazilians. And Box was sent off. That's even worse. Here's Maicon on the run. Looking, shooting. It was wide. Well, they've had 2 chances, really, to put this game away. They're looking for it. They're looking to secure a win. They're not holding on to the ball. They're not changing their style. They're looking to get behind 10 players instead of an 11-player group.
And Maicon has got tremendous speed on that outside. Again, same type of situation that Daniela just had. They just hit it with the wrong surface. It's bending away from goal.
Well, the U.S. can obviously come back, but this would be a huge comeback. Down by 2 and down a player. And one of your better players as well in Shannon Box against a very good Brazilian side. So to come back in this, they will have to earn it. Maybe get a little luck or so along the way. We'll see. Here's Carly Lloyd's pass. How difficult, though, Julie, is it to play with 10, especially when you're down?
Well, and give Brazil a lot of credit. They are getting tremendous pressure on the ball. So the United States, no time and space when they do actually win the ball back.
Marta, tough to chase as well when you're down to 10 players. The cross came right through. Throw in coming up for the United States.
And really the tactic when you're playing with the 10-player lineup and down a man is you know you're not going to hold the ball as much, but you're going to look for the counters. You're going to look and play for set pieces, which the U.S. was already doing coming into this game.
That was some collision on the side. Elene was involved with Kolupny. She shrugs it off. Asked her if she was nervous before the World Cup started. She said no, prepared for everything, she thought. Greg Ryan, I think, right there to ask for a card, but none given.
You know something's going to come back to the United States, though, if anyone talked to the referee at halftime about the Shannon Box call.
Said you missed it. This is Scurry clearing.
Those are the type of situations, though, you train for. I remember at the 2004 Olympics, we said anything that gets thrown at us, a red card.
Here's Lloyd shooting wide.
A red card, or we go down 2 goals. You know those are going to happen, and you deal with them. You don't want them all to happen at once is the problem for the United States. But again, you constantly at halftime, I'm sure they're in there saying, we got lots of game left. These Brazilians are known to give up goals, pounce on those mistakes.
Touted Abby Wambach having a great tournament so far in this game, a non-factor, but she's hardly had the ball. Here's Brazil. Marta in the box, cutting it back. She gave up a shot. Christiane's shot is a weak one. Marta that time was too unselfish. The shot was there. She seems to have just as much fun playmaking, getting an assist as she does in scoring goals.
She is a great playmaker on top of being one of the best finishers in the world.
Let's get back to Abby. No supply of the ball because
the U.S. hasn't had the ball all game. It's been their challenge all tournament. They established a better rhythm against England, but Brazil hasn't let them play at all and never found Shannon Box, their playmaker they were trying to look for in the middle.
Everything has just gone bad for them here tonight. Still a lot of time left, but you need one before you can think about that second one. And of course, if they tie it, there's an overtime scenario, but we are a long way from that. Throw in for Whitehill. Whitehill's long throw. Greg Ryan hoped to get a goal or more off of that. That's a weapon. And usually she looks for Abby Wambach. At this point, the USA doesn't care how they get one. They just need one. Scoring Summery Osborne. An unfortunate own goal for her, heading it past Scurry. And then Marta. Here's Formiga. She's got a player wide open. Christiane with Scurry coming out. And Christiane may have put an end to the USA's hopes for a World Cup win.
And you're going to see Formiga on the flank. Beautiful ball in. Sees Christiane wide open. And with great composure, Bry coming off her line, trying to shut down the angle, slots it home for Brazil. And
There's the happiness that you talked about. You see it on the field and obviously in the celebration. Christiane, 5 goals down 5 matches. Her World Cup in '03 wasn't bad. The Olympics, she was strong as well. And you hate to see the look on Brianna Scurry's face. She was put in a very difficult situation. Hope Solo the same. And it didn't work. And again, even if it did work, it was controversial. And everyone spoke out against it. But bottom line, it didn't work tonight.
We'll see how this score ends up, but I think a move like that is unfair to Brianna Scurry. She hasn't played. I said it when he made the decision that you put a goalkeeper in like that situation. First of all, it's unprecedented. You put it in maybe if you've been playing them evenly and they've been vying for the starting spot. Coach Ryan has always said, Hope Solo is my starting keeper. As the games indicate with the number of games, I just think it's tremendously unfair to put a goalkeeper in that situation in such a big game, not having given her any games.
Get Tony DeChico's reaction in about 20 minutes time from our Bristol, Connecticut studios. It's a 3-0 Brazil lead. They have closed the gap. We said it before, a matter of time. USA was hoping that tonight was not the time where they actually closed it.
And the other piece that is interesting is Coach Ryan said, we said, when did you start thinking about this? Because it came as such a surprise to Hope Solo, his number 1. And he said, actually, I started thinking about it when Bry won the game against Brazil in June this summer, a 2-0 game. So it makes me wonder if he's thinking then I may possibly go to Bry. Shouldn't he have given her more games leading into this World Cup?
Well, the USA under Greg Ryan, 50-game unbeaten streak, 51 overall. That's in jeopardy. They haven't lost since 2004. Game you played in Philadelphia against Denmark. They are 3 goals down and down a player as well as this one goes out of play. Intended for Carly Lloyd. USA has never even trailed since Greg Ryan has taken over by even 2 goals. And tonight it is 3. This is a replay from the world feed of the Christiane finish, and it was a beauty. Meanwhile, Tina Ellertson is up by the 4th official. She will be the next USA sub. Here's Lloyd. And we've got 2 USA players that were down. As Andrea has it, one of them is Abby Wambach.
So you see a defender coming up, and interesting because you need 3 goals. Granted, Tina Ellertson has tremendous speed, and you don't want to have Brazil getting in and behind the defense, which they seem to be doing at will. So perhaps you bring her in for the speed, but
let's see, though, too, where she plays, because she used to play forward. She hasn't here with the national team, but in college she was a forward, and she'll replace O'Reilly, but no Lindsay Tarpley, who has not played much in this World Cup. So that's the second substitution that the USA is making. Go back to what we had said earlier. Greg Ryan yesterday seemed very defensive about the goalkeeping switch. Today his body language was different. He was very comfortable with it. He said this is the move that he wanted to make. He would take the heat for it and wouldn't change a thing. This is what he wanted to do. And he's going to probably face some more grilling when this is over from the media that questioned the decision yesterday. So we shall see. We'll hear more about it, I'm sure. I mean, Marta will have some coverage for us as well post-game.
I'm still not understanding this substitution. He's got 4 defenders with Tina Ellertson coming into that back line, and he took Heather O'Reilly off, who was playing in the midfield. So he's gone to a 4-3-2. It appears. And you don't have anyone on that back line that's familiar with the midfield. So it's not like if you still had Stephanie Lopez in there, you could bump her into the midfield.
Daniela. She's got some room. Remember, it's 10 players for the U.S., but that time they were not in sync. And down went Markcraft as that ball goes out, and she may be hurt. More bad news for the United States.
And here's another look at it.
She turned her right foot on her own.
Caught on the turf. We talked a lot about in 2004 the luck we had. Brazil hit the crossbar.
Yep.
For the and we did not play our best game. Talk about a role reversal in this game. An own goal to start it. Shannon Box getting the red card that shouldn't have been a second yellow.
If you're wondering, by the way, about World Cup comebacks, saw a pretty good handball there that was let go. World Cup comebacks, Nigeria was trailing Brazil by 3 goals in the quarterfinals of '99. They came back, but they did not get the win. And the U.S. needs 3 just to send this into an overtime scenario.
Let's go back to the Tina Ellertson move, because I'm still baffled by it. Christy Rampone is stepping into the midfield. She's never played, in my recollection, she played a forward position, but she's never played a midfield position. You have Natasha Kai sitting on the bench. You have Ali Wagner sitting on the bench.
Lily's shot. That's more bad luck. What are the odds that Christine Lilly would put it right into the midsection of Andrea when she had that opportunity?
And this is about as good a look as Christine Lilly's going to get.
When you're down by 3, though, those have to be finished because you don't know how many chances you're going to get, and down a player as well.
No question, and she knows that. And again, it's one of those things, the team, instead of getting a lift, the head goes down.
Brazil playing with a confidence that we have not seen, and maybe one of the reasons why is because they've never had a lead like this against the United States. They are confident when they're involved in games, but we've never seen them with this kind of a lead against the U.S. Seen it against other teams, but not the United States. Throw in from the near sideline. Halfway line area, brought down. She is spectacular, Marta. It's pushed all the way back. Renata Costa. Esther. 3-0. Brazil are on top. Started with an own goal. Then the 2 great goal scorers, the dynamic duo for Brazil, Marta and Christiane, have each scored. 11 goals between them in this World Cup. The best scoring duo in this tournament. Intended for Kalupny. She tried to go inside. That's blocked by Esther, who's covering a lot of ground back there. All the way back it goes to the United States, 64th minute. And you could argue that there's still a lot of time left, but you could also argue that the USA are not creating any kind of chances. Ellertson made a nice play there. You lose that, and Marta has a breakaway.
And Marta's fast, but there's not many that are going to beat Tina Ellertson in a foot race.
Ellertson only playing in her 2nd World Cup match, subbed in for Nigeria for the Nigeria game. 13 minutes. Ball played out wide of Brianna Scurry.
And it looks like Coach Ryan may have put Ellertson into man mark Marta.
Got a Brazilian player down, so play is stopped.
We can watch that evolve and see if that's the case. But again, you're making a defensive move dictated by Brazil.
Time for some more liquid refreshment for players trying to refuel on an extremely hot night. Again, they were talking about temperatures in the 80s. We don't think so. Brazil have only beaten the United States 1 time. It was back in 1997. It was a close one. It was a 1-0 game. This is not like the kind of games we have seen, especially with Brazil, with this kind of a performance. It's a dominating performance on the scoreboard.
And the U.S. looking like it's 3-0. They've got their heads down.
Body language is bad, right?
Body language is bad. They just had time to get water, and not many were talking to each other. They didn't come together. The ones that stayed on the field didn't even come together to regroup, and that's the best time to do that.
Scurry will put it back into play. Looking ahead, the winner of this game, and right now it's looking more and more like Brazil has the honor or the privilege or maybe something else to take on Germany, whose shutout streak is currently at over 500 minutes. That's a World Cup record. So Germany waits for the winner, and right now that's Brazil. It would be Norway and the USA in the 3rd place match in Shanghai if this result stands. 66th minute. Formiga, USA down by 3. and down a player. Tony DeCicco will join us in about 10 minutes time from our studios in Bristol, Connecticut. Mike on. It's denied. Esther was up on that side as well. U.S. getting to it, pushing it forward, and again, possession is lost.
And the tactic for the United States, it doesn't have to be pretty now. It's desperate, and whether you lose 6-0, obviously you still have a chance at 3-0, but you got to start taking some chances. You got to get numbers forward. You got to try and pick up a foul near your box. Play for set pieces. Play for corner kicks.
Can you remember losing a game or trailing in a game by this much when you played recently at all? You guys didn't lose a lot.
Semifinal loss to Germany that happened in about the 94th minute, though.
Yeah.
Because we were pressing, we were down a goal.
Yeah.
But never this early in a game and down a player like this.
Yeah, you're right. Those are 2 late goals. So something like this early, you don't remember.
And again, I don't mean to harp on this Tina Ellertson situation, but it baffles me is why, when you're down 3-0, do you need to worry about man marking Marta and wasting a substitution to do that?
Elene puts it down. Scurry's coming out, has to get it, and does. With Marta right there, and Ellertson is right on her.
You saw Marta actually cheering Bry there for coming off her line. Recognizing it was a good play.
Scurry will clear that one out. Off a miss hit by Brazil. And a throw in for the U.S.
You just have to wonder, as Bry's standing back there with so much time to think about it, what's going through her mind right now.
She is a legend to me. She has been the best goalkeeper in the world, and she was put into a tough spotlight here. She had the confidence going, said all the right things, but in the end, it was just a bad start for the team, and starting with that own goal. And things got progressively worse. Marta scored to make it 2-0. Shannon Box sent off for a second yellow card near the end of the first half. And then Christiane adding a huge one in the 56th minute.
And the U.S. desperately needing a lift. If they can get a goal in right now, the game all of a sudden has life again for them.
Andrea backing it up, punched it out. Quick shot taken, it's low. That's blocked as well from Carly Lloyd. She's dangerous even from that distance. USA with it. They've still not been able to find Abby Wambach. Tougher with 10 players as well to do that. But you would think if they're going to come back in this game that Abby has to play a factor, major factor.
And right now she can't even get service anywhere near her box. Every time Abby gets the ball, it's about at the mid-stripe.
All the way back to Scurry. 70th minute. USA down. Looking more like they're going to be settling for a third-place match against Norway, barring a miraculous comeback, I would think. Down by 3 goals with 20 minutes to go and down a player. USA comes back in this one. They'll be talking about this one for decades. We've got Tony DeCicco in a little early. Coach, your thoughts from the second half on to this point?
Well, first of all, I agree with Julie. You need to sub. When you're down 2 goals, you need to sub attacking players. Where's Kai? Where's Tarpley? Wagner? Ellertson, to me, is a defensive sub in this scenario. Doesn't help. You know, Greg Ryan has gone 50 games without a loss, and he's made a lot of great decisions in that run. But the decision not to stay with Hope Solo is by far the most devastating bad decision he's made.
Coach, how tough is it for you to watch Brianna Scurry in the body language with all the great wins that she's had and being put in the spotlight like this? Not her decision.
Well, Brianna Scurry is the best women goalkeeper that's ever played that position. And I know she's devastated. The whole team, you can see by their body language. Early in the game was the style of the U.S., but the game was always the emotion that favored Brazil. And I think Coach Ryan put his team on an emotional edge. And, you know, it's so hard once those emotions start coming out. You've seen the number of cards and et cetera for the U.S. to play the type of game they need to. They're going to keep fighting. I do believe Brazil's going to make a mistake. and USA is going to claw back here, but I don't think they can get all the way back. I think they're playing for the 3rd place.
I want to ask you one more question here as Brazil try to play it up the side. Tony, if Brazil win this, can they beat Germany on Sunday?
Yes, they can beat Germany. Germany has dodged some bullets against North Korea, against Norway in the first half of each of those games, and then got a late goal just before halftime and kind of cruised in the second half. Brazil very well may not let them dodge some of those bullets. I don't think Germany can go through this World Cup without conceding a goal.
Thank you, Coach. Chat with you Sunday.
Thank you.
So that'll be contrasting styles if this thing holds true and Brazil were to play against Germany, not giving up a goal, and then Germany facing this kind of an offense. But see what happens the rest of the way. Brazil on the ball. Formiga. Esther. Nice turn. Christian, the shot went wide. What a great, glorious chance they had right there to make it 4-0.
Christian has such a quick release when she shoots. She loves it on her left foot, and she's got such a fast backswing that is so hard to react to. And you can see her here. Good opportunity. She actually tries to toe punch it. You see a lot in the indoor game they do that. So you don't have to take such a big backswing.
This one's cleared out of play. The USA will have a throw-in. Christine Lilly screaming to get that ball. You're watching the 2007 FIFA Women's World Cup from Hangzhou. An upset in the making. Number 1 USA down by 3 goals to number 8 Brazil.
And you heard Tony DeCicco talking about how the switch in goal affects team chemistry, and they emotionally were on edge. And
Lilly sending this one in just wide.
Actually should be a corner kick. So the
and
United
that is the
States,
call.
Yep, they get a corner kick. But the problem with being on emotional edge like that is when you hit adversity, as they've hit at every turn here, it's so much harder to react to that.
We're going to see another sub, and that's a surprise as well, I would think. Marion Dalmy will make her Women's World Cup debut. For Kate Marcraft. The surprises, I would have to say, continue, no?
Well, Kate may have an ankle injury, but again, if you have an arsenal and you need goals, Dalmy is a defensive player. Maybe Kate's ankle is worse than we thought. She's limping on the sidelines there. But knowing Kate, I think she would say, let me drag this around and put a Natasha Kai or an Ali Wagner or a Tarpley up top to give us a chance.
Corner kick coming for the United States. These are desperate times for the U.S. 75th minute. Need some urgency and need some goals. There's one maybe. Sent in high by Osborne. And that one got past Dalmy. She's on the chase. Marta has it. We'll make it Daniela to Christian. Marta's up higher. And she'll take it now. That's happiness. That's incredible stuff to watch. Marta. Right side, Elane. Holding it, getting closer. Back heel, showtime. Daniela leaves it. Christian couldn't get to it. The USA will send it long. Coming up on Sunday, a big day on ESPN2, third place match, Norway, and it looks certainly like it's going to be Norway versus the United States, 4:55 a.m. Eastern time. And then the final, Germany. Looks like they're headed for a matchup with Brazil. Coverage beginning early in the morning on those two matches. We appreciate all those back in the United States waking up and watching the 2007 FIFA Women's World Cup. Throw in here for Elane.
So USA already having made their 3 substitutions. Look what's left on the bench. Natasha Kai, again, going back to this, needing a goal. And maybe Kate is in a situation where she can't continue, but
Long shot by Formiga, right at Scurry. 3-0. Brazil leading, headed for a matchup with Germany in the World Cup final, a place that they've never been before. They got to the Olympic final, but never the Women's World Cup final. Marta coming back, won that ball. It's been 11 versus 10 this whole second half, and it's been tough for the USA to even create chances against this Brazilian side that has had so much possession here.
It's hard enough, 11v11.
Coming through. Formiga, plenty of gas left in that tank. Holding, looking, and shooting! Formiga trying to make it 4-0.
And Brazil's so good because they can come at you in so many different ways. And Formiga, one that doesn't get a lot of attention. And look at her just try and bend that with her left foot. Great playmaker in the middle of the field for Brazil. They have Daniela next to her. We've talked a lot about Marta and Christian.
Coming back, Christian played it through. Marta in the box against Ellertson. Oh, what a great move that was. Look at the magic. Christian's shot saved by Scurry. Put all of Marta's moves right there on a highlight video.
And just to put it in perspective about how special Marta is, any U.S. forward, Abby Wambach, Christine Lilly, the best there are, have said Tina Ellertson is the hardest 1v1 defender to beat. And Marta does it with such grace. The ball is like glued to her foot.
There is no woman player that can do any of this in the world. Even though Brazil says there are 1,000 Martas back there, that's the only one that we know of. And she has more touches tonight than Abby Wambach. Only had the 2 shots compared to Abby's 1, but Marta has definitely been more of a factor for her side than Abby has been for her side. Abby has not had any real supply of the ball tonight.
And you look at the players on this Brazilian team, they're doing this with absolutely no support. They didn't play after that Olympic final where they should have probably won the gold medal and could have. They didn't play for 2 years, over 2 years, until they had to in their World Cup qualifiers. If the Brazilian Federation ever got serious about supporting their women, they say there are 1,000 Martas out there that they could find.
Even if they're off by 900, there's still 100 of them out there. But she is a special player. They have so many great players on the ball, but still no one except for Marta can do all of those things. She is an elite player. There's another move. She was tugged from behind. She still has it. Nice cut there. Marta! She's got another. Her coach was right. She is the best player in the world in women's soccer.
And Marta just does things at a different level. This is a different class. Back of her foot, around her the other side, and then doesn't panic, feints again. That is incredible. Look at this little touch. And Tina Ellertson is the fastest player on the U.S. team.
And she tugged her, remember, from behind initially, but that still didn't slow down Marta. This is an incredible result. Brazil over the United States by a 4-0 score.
And it's too bad the box call happened. I would have loved to have seen this game 11v11.
You know, we all talked about it on the ride here, which was, that's Hope Solo on that USA bench. That was a big story, replaced by Brianna Scurry. This is not all about Brianna Scurry, this 4-0 game, by the way. But I want to bring up another point in a minute as Christian was there. Short drive over here. We all discussed this. Could Brazil win this game? We all agreed that they could. We said by what score? We all said a low-scoring game. No one expected a blowout. We all asked each other, could Brazil win in a high-scoring game? And the answer, no. Yes, they can. And they are, and they will tonight.
And again, Daniela and Brazil just passing around with ease around the U.S. team, being a player down. And you can see a good look at Coach Ryan, who said, if I've made a mistake, I can live with it. And you have to look at Christine Lilly, at Brianna Scurry. This probably being their last World Cup. Most definitely for Christine, and I haven't heard from Brianna, but I would imagine at 36, the same.
What a night.
And it hurts to see that this is their last World Cup experience, because this is a better U.S. team than this.
Christiane Alane, full credit to Brazil. We talked about the killer instinct. Yes, they brought it. It helps to have 11 versus 10, but no mistake tonight. They were the better side this evening. No question. Michael. When you look up at that score, I mean, granted, 4 goals is a lot to give up, but it's been all Brazil. Here is Formiga. The USA went 3+ games without giving up a goal, and have given up 4 here. That's more than they had given up in the entire tournament coming into this one, having given up only 2 in that game against North Korea. Marta getting goals tonight, goal number 6 and 7. She's the leader in this World Cup tournament. She also has 10 career World Cup goals, passing the great Mia Hamm. I mean, this is incredible. And again, she is 21 years of age.
They have shown tremendous class tonight. And thinking about Brianna Scurry, watching her there in goal and knowing what she's thinking, her legacy will be that she is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And again, I think it's been unfair to Brianna Scurry to put her in a situation like that, not having played or having started only 7 games since 2004.
Quick question for you on Brazil. They've used less subs than anyone else in this tournament. Are you surprised that at this point they've not taken anybody out, or they want these players to feel this kind of a win against the United States and reward them? What do you think?
I think you should, going against a tremendous team like Germany, who, like we've said over and over, hasn't let in a goal yet, but you can see they're having fun out there. And Barcelos has said, I don't like to use a lot of substitutions.
Here's Daniela coming in. And by the way, they look very fresh right now. You always worry about an injury, but the way they're knocking the ball around, the only way they can get hurt maybe is if they hurt themselves.
Injury, yellow card, that's often the primary reason when you're up like this late in the game and a player up, that you start making some changes.
But at this point, worst World Cup loss for the United States. Remember that 3-0 loss with those late goals in the Germany game, but this was Brazil up by 2 at the half, and the USA down a player. And the second half belonged to Brazil as well. Should be a terrific final. Brazil and Germany. Germany, the defending World Cup champions, yet to allow a goal, but they will face some firepower in this Brazilian side.
And what a game that's going to be. Watching Germany play against Norway in those final 30 minutes yesterday.
Here's another potential chance, but Daniela is stopped. Now the USA will still have a 3rd place game to play for, but it'll be Brazil and Germany in the final. USA would take on Norway, their longtime rivals, in the 3rd place match. That's all on Sunday from Shanghai. There's Marta with a couple of goals and another brilliant performance. Long shot high by Brazil.
She's dangerous from everywhere. They're showing, oh, it was Daniela. I thought it was Marta.
They're all dangerous.
Last 5 minutes, Christine Lilly playing in her last World Cup. She hasn't said yet whether she's going to continue for the Olympics.
What's your gut?
I think she's going to want to end on a higher note than this. I think my gut says she's going to want to continue since it's only a year away. But I also understand the reasoning behind not being sure. And for the United States, they go in, obviously, into this 3rd place game, not where you want to be, but they'll say as a group, look, we're better than that game showed. And let's put on a performance in that consolation match that makes us walk away from this tournament proud.
You know, one change they'll make, that'll be Shannon Box because of the send-off today, so she won't be able to play in that one. But we'll see what other changes are made by head coach Greg Ryan, whose 50-match unbeaten streak ends tonight with a thud in Hangzhou. And the USA's 51-match unbeaten streak ending as well. Brazil's night of magic continues. They will want to bottle this and save some if they can for Sunday against Germany.
And a head coach in the situation, as this game dictates on such a world stage, is you got to answer the hard questions, and you know they're going to come out.
And he's done that, and I'm sure he's prepared to do it again. And there will be some questions for sure. There were a bunch yesterday. There will be more tonight and tomorrow. Lifted long towards Wambach. Brazil cutting this one off. Remember, they've only beaten the United States one time. It was back in '97. Never beat them in a World Cup or Olympic match out of 5 tries. Here's Christian off the post. It was there for her. That would have been her second goal.
And I would say that loss in the 2004 Olympic final is still very fresh for the Brazilians. You see Christian wanting to get in again. They want to run this score up. And playing down a man is difficult in itself for the United States. To play down a player against a tremendous Brazilian squad like this makes for a tough 45 minutes.
Well, Marta on her own, updating her numbers, 7 goals in this tournament. The USA as a team, 8. And 4 of those were by Abby Wambach, who never even got close to goal today. The USA's advantage on set pieces, we never even saw that. It's all been Brazil in all aspects of the game, from possession to scoring chances, and I can't recall a big save that Andreas had to make.
No, and they really never had the run of play, even in that first half with 11 players. And you could see it when the U.S. team was running off.
Andreas coming out, missed it there. That's Lloyd. Brought it back, turns it around. That's blocked as well. And the frustration continues. Not that a goal there is going to matter, but still want to end with something positive on the night if you can.
You can see it in the body language when they're running off at halftime. It was slow, heads down. They weren't sprinting into halftime. Sometimes we used to say, hey, just sprint in at halftime, even if you're not feeling like it, just so the other team knows, look, I still got life left in me.
Here's the throw-in. USA with it. On this night, Brazil was just the better team, and they are a great team. Sent over the bar by Whitehill. I said at the top of the telecast that the bar was closing and that one night Brazil would beat the United States, but USA fans were hoping this was not the night.
And Christine Lilly did well to find Kat Whitehill on that back post, but again, you got a lot of defenders on that field. Kat Whitehill not used to being in that situation.
Brazil will push it.
And I go back to the body language, and you didn't see a big, watching Abby and Christine, usually the 2 leaders on the field, you didn't see them talking to players. And I go back to the goalkeeping switch again. I think that left a lot of players questioning and wondering why, when we're playing, the U.S. had played so well against England, you make the switch.
They said all the right things publicly, but I think privately there were different thoughts. Here's Daniela shooting it. Well, I think took a deflection. Looked like it did. The referee says no. Daniela thought so too. 90th minute.
And you'll have a final with 2 teams coming in tremendously confident. Germany winning 3-0 against Norway.
Ellertson. A couple of minutes in stoppage time. Well, how about that, Julie, though? Germany not giving up a goal yet. Brazil's only given up 2, and you've got their high-powered offense, and Germany have some good offensive weapons, too. Birgit Prinz versus Marta. You've got Lingor, Christian, some great stars we will see on Sunday.
Gerhard Freckes from Germany. I thought Birgit Prinz in those last 30 minutes for Germany was incredible.
Brazilian players on the bench are already celebrating. They are a fun group, the most entertaining team in this World Cup, and now they're going to get another game. They knew they'd get another one anyway, but Would it be the third place game or the final? Their goal was to get to the final and win it. Right now, they've at least reached part of that by getting there. Good crowd on hand tonight. Mostly Brazilian supporters. And the ones who were undecided, I think, adopted Brazil when they took that lead. Dead in there by Esther. Over 47,000, we're told, in this magnificent stadium. Here's Formiga.
Brazil is just so fast, defensively, offensively. They've been a step ahead all game.
They look like the game just started. Foul on the sideline. Here's where, if you're Brazil, you got to be worried about this. That's the second time she's been down today. Formiga.
And you go back to the question of should Coach Barcelos taking some players out?
Marta has been brilliant today. The action that she has created in terms of her goal scoring, her playmaking ability has been exceptional. She's the star player that everyone came to see, and tonight, Julie, she did not disappoint.
And she showed why she was voted the best female player in the world.
Tremendous night for her.
She's a special player, so much fun to watch. Great for women's soccer to see a player like that.
And we'll get to see her in the final on Sunday. So a tough night for the United States, a great night for Brazil. The game is still going on, though. Brazilian players thought it was over. Now it is over. Brazil are going to the final. Joy on one side for the Brazilians, dismay, disappointment, and dare I say, shock as well from the United States. It's not that they couldn't lose this game, but one would think they couldn't lose this game this badly.
And hats off to Brazil for a tremendous performance. And you see a player like Marta and the game she had.
This is huge for their team. This is huge for their country. One more game to go. They will be taking on Germany on Sunday in the final. The United States will be taking on Norway in a game that they really weren't looking forward to. That is the third place game. But how about Brazil and the way they went here tonight? They did it in style. We should have a great final, Julie, coming up on Sunday.
A tremendous final. Two great teams coming into that final, and you see those last images of Brianna Scurry and Hope Solo.
A 4-0 win tonight for Brazil. They're going on to the final. The USA will go on to the third place match. Rob, Tony, and Heather after the break. Thanks for watching from Hangzhou.
History perhaps in Hangzhou as the U.S. suffers the worst loss in U.S. women's soccer history, falling 4-0 to Brazil in the semifinals. History also, and you may have witnessed the greatest individual goal in Women's World Cup history. We'll show you the highlights of that from Marta in just a moment. Heather Mitz, Tony DeChico, Rob Stone here to put a wrap on the semifinals for you, and the U.S. has been eliminated, knocked out. Brazil moves on to take on Germany in Sunday's final. Here's how it happened, and it started in ugly fashion in the 20th minute for the U.S. in the unfortunate own goal, courtesy of Leslie Osborne. After Brazil came in, could they be any more loose?
Here we see Leslie Osborne going back towards her own goal. Just get in front of it, get the ball out if you need to. Brazil up 1-0.
In the 27th minute, it was Marta, individual effort, striking this one near post.
Well, Marta beats Lopez. She gets into the penalty area. She's so good with this type of shot back to the near post. Scurry, at her best, makes that save even with the deflection.
That was her 6th goal of the tournament. Then a very questionable call. I'm not even sure questionable is the right word. Shannon Box called for a foul there. That was her 2nd yellow. She sent off just before halftime. And so the U.S. playing a woman down and didn't get much better. 56th minute, Christian, 3-0 Brazil, her 5th of the cup. And then some samba dancing. Marta, they were feeling the groove in the second half. It's easy to do that when you're a player up. And then maybe the goal of Women's World Cup history, Marta, the flick by Ellerson, the cut, and then slams it home off the right foot. 4-0. It's all over but the shouting.
And look at this back heel. She gets by Tina Ellertson, who has so much speed already, takes the touch, and is in the back of the net.
Marta, her 7th goal of this Women's World Cup tournament. Head-to-head, these two stars had to shine if one of these teams are going to win, and it was Marta. Hard to take a knock at Abby being a player down. It's hard to get much service.
Well, she didn't get any service, and other than the set pieces.
U.S. head coach Greg Ryan.
Coach, the big story before the game was the change in goalkeepers. In hindsight, what do you think of the move?
Well, I don't think that move affected the game. I think what happened is, we gave up that early goal. I think at one point they'd had 1 shot and 2 goals were in the back of the net. I think on that shot, I think Bri gives us the best chance to make that save because of her quickness. I thought she made a great effort to get on it. Marta gets that release off so quick, and that's why she's a great goal scorer. But playing 10 down for 55 minutes, against a team that's this good, very, very tough.
What went wrong tonight then?
Well, again, in soccer, you give up that first goal, which wasn't much of a chance for them, and now you're having to come out against them. Once you go down to 10 and you're down 2 goals, you're still trying to come out at them, and at that point you can't defend because you're just trying to get back in the game.
Well, you don't reach the final, and that was your expectation. What's your assessment of the tournament for the team?
Well, I think they've given us everything every time they've stepped on the field. I'm very proud of them. Again, tough game tonight. It's a funny game. Own goals. We saw it in the Norway-Germany game. Norway was playing well, gave up the own goal, and then, they're chasing the game.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Well, an interesting thing that Coach Ryan hinted about is he said, well, the goalkeeper's change didn't really affect us. We disagree, at least mentally, we think it had a massive effect. But another situation that came up in the second half was the substitution patterns. You're down 2-0, you're down a player, yet it seemed it was a defensive theme primarily, not across the board.
Well, it didn't seem. It was defensive. I mean, Ellertson coming into the game, Dalmy coming into the game. Where's Kai? Where's Tarpley? I think the goalkeeper move was not the right move. We've said that all along. Coach Ryan needs to take a look at the video and kind of regroup for the 3rd place game.
And I think the players looked like they were tired as well. We have to remember it was the toughest road to get there. Not able to rest a lot of those players, not using a lot of your subs, and going down to nothing, I think, was tough. And then having Shannon Box get that questionable call, ridiculous call actually, and having to play down was so hard for this U.S. team to bounce back.
Now we continue our substitution theme, and Brazil made 0 subs, which really baffled us as well. They have a game on Sunday for the World Cup title, and yet they let their entire troops go out for the full 90 minutes when the game really was in hand, if you want to say, at halftime, but certainly at 3-0 or 4-0, they could have pulled some subs, and one player you would want to get off the field because you're going to need her on Sunday is Marta, who had a wonderful outing today.
Well, the Brazilians are fit, but absolutely, Rob, they needed to get players off the field. They've got 1 day less rest than Germany. Smart coaching would have got them off.
Marta sure did show up today. Her brilliant goal. She's had great one-on-one offensive threat for this team, and I think that she's going to have to play brilliantly against Germany in the finals.
Well, Coach, World Cups are tough on coaches. Not many last past the tournament. I'm not asking you to slam Greg Ryan, but in your estimation, is he going to be the head coach for the Olympic Games next summer?
It's not my decision. I will say this, that I, as a first World Cup coach, and the comparisons between 95 and 2007 are there, I made a lot of mistakes. I think Greg Ryan made a lot of mistakes. I also think that in his run of unbeaten games, he made a lot of good moves, but this mistake, I think, really hurt his team.
Well, you remembered how you're finished, and Greg Ryan finished with a controversial move that brought on a lot of scrutiny to his program, and whether that was the right or the wrong decision, it's what people are going to be talking about through the rest of today, especially here at ESPN headquarters. You guys are already getting requests to be on multiple shows to talk about it, and I guarantee you, get ready for question number 1. Did Greg Ryan screw up, and should he still be your head coach? Well, Greg Ryan will have another game to coach as the U.S. takes on Norway in the 3rd place game this Sunday morning, 4:55 a.m. Eastern live coverage on ESPN2, ESPN 360 as well, all leading up to the final game. Germany, Brazil, 7:55 a.m. Eastern, World Cup Live on with you Sunday at 7 a.m. The Brazil men's national team, they've won 5 World Cup titles. The women seeking their first. We'll see you Sunday morning.